Time for another update on my cooling fan. It's so cool how the digital capture frame rate makes it look like it's going backwards. So I'm trying to beat the rain. Yep. And I took all my tools and put them inside last night so they wouldn't walk away. So this morning I tried to put the bearing assembly back in the torque arm after I changed the bushing yesterday. And what happened is the rubber bushing slipped out of the shell, and somebody on the Corvair forum asked if the shell bushing casing was in all the way in the torque arm. Yes, it is. It has some nubs. See that nub? It stops it from going in the last 3/16 or so. So that's in properly. I've got my new reconditioned drive shaft on. Luckily I had a spare because this one that I tossed all the rollers of was junk. But removing this bearing assembly, hub, axle, was really difficult. So I took the grinder today and I cranked her up. I've got the fan plugged in now and I cut away a little bit here. And it's hard not to cut additional material, which bugged me. So I took the file and I dressed her a little bit like that. Nice made in China Tecton file with a glued on handle, top of the line, beats the Nicholsons that were made in USA. I don't like saying that, but these files are very well made in China, unfortunately, and they're cheap, $3. Then I dressed that a little bit. And now she slides through. I took off the brake line, and whenever you see a vehicle advertised on eBay or Craigslist and it says restored, all brand new brake lines, fuel tank, fuel lines, you're thinking, oh, they put new brake lines on. Well, why did they put new brake lines on and fuel lines if they were in good shape like this one? They don't fail. This is good for 1,000,000 years as long as it doesn't rust through. And this one has got the most light coating of surface rust, so why would you want to change that? It's not drippy necessary. If the vehicle's rust-free, or almost rust-free, the brake lines should be in really good shape, as they are on this vehicle. There's one right there. And this thing is, I call it 99.9% rust-free. One of the guys in the forum said, well, maybe that's rust-free for the East Coast. This is rust from moisture, from rain, since the paint got stripped off from my blown tire. And that has to be fixed a little bit. It's a tiny bit bent out of shape. But this is not a rusty car. It's an Arizona car that hasn't seen even much rain, just a decent quality paint job a long time ago. So let's see if I can lay the camera down and put the bearing assembly back in place. Doesn't matter which way it goes in, right side up or upside down. There goes the bearing, the wheel cylinder push rod. That's just gonna slide on in. I don't want to touch the screen because something will happen and I'll regret it. Whoop! Right in. Just needed a bit of dressing. So line it up, make sure I got the bolts indexed properly. It only goes one way. The early model bearings have to be serviced every 25 years. The late model ones are good for 75 years. They don't seem to have a failure rate like the early ones do, for whatever reason. Who knows why. Sometimes these things are a mystery. Now, how do you get this baby back in? Let's make sure you're looking at what I'm doing here. Just right, otherwise you'd be looking at the edge of something and crying on the video. No, come on, move that camera over just a little bit. Wow. What if this goes the other way? I don't think there's an orientation on this, but we're going to spin it 180 degrees. Maybe it'll line up. Oh, there it goes. Yippee! I'm going to spray a bit of brake cleaner back there so it make sure it sits flush. Don't have any debris blocking my landing. Brake clean, wonderful stuff. Just make sure when you breathe the fumes, you're prepared for the consequences. There. And you're looking right at it, so you can see the lens. A bit of brake clean on the threads. Clean off the crap. My filings. I might put a bit of grease on those threads, not that I have to stop anything from rusting. This is a rust-free car and it'll never be driven in the rain. Well, I mean the rain, the snow. Yeah, I'll deal with that at the homecoming. I'll buy a couple of new or reconditioned strut rods, maybe just with the new outers, and I can put those nylon ends by myself. So I can do the rest of this without without you as an audience. Yeah, nice black rust-free extruded bumper stopper. I'm going to put this baby back together, and I'm going to put airbags on it, and I'm going to make it sit way up high in the air like this. Alrighty, try beat the rain. Oh yeah, it always rains around here. So much for having a 5-year drought like poor California.